existed. A horrifying realization struck Arav. Nikhil. Samuel nodded. Think carefully. Arav turned toward Kabir and Riya. What was Nikhil's birthday? Silence. Neither could answer. His hometown? Nothing. What was his favorite food? Their memories felt blurred. Broken. Like a dream fading after waking. The house was already erasing him. The seventh eye awakens. A deafening roar echoed beneath the floor. The entire room shook violently. Cracks spread across the walls. The candles burst into unnatural blue flames. Samuel's face turned pale. It's waking up. What's waking up? Kabir shouted. Samuel pointed downward. Beneath the pillar. Beneath the house. Beneath the village itself. The seventh eye. A massive crack split open in the floor. Darkness stretched endlessly below. And from somewhere deep within that abyss, something opened. A giant eye. Watching. Blinking. Waiting. Then every candle except one went out. Only a single flame remained burning. And a voice echoed from the darkness. Ancient. Inhuman. Hungry. Bring me the last soul. The floor beneath Arav suddenly collapsed. And he plunged screaming into the darkness below. Arav fell. Down. Down. Deeper into the darkness beneath house number 7. The screams of Riya and Kabir faded above him. The light disappeared. The world vanished. Then. Silence. Arav hit the ground hard. Pain shot through his body. For several seconds he couldn't breathe. When he finally opened his eyes, he realized he was no longer inside the house. At least, not in any normal sense. A vast underground world stretched before him. An impossible place. A cavern larger than an entire city. Ancient stone pillars rose from the darkness like the remains of forgotten giants. Rivers of black water flowed silently between them. And overhead, there was no ceiling. Only endless darkness. What is this place? Arav whispered. His voice echoed endlessly. Then another voice answered. The place beneath memory. Arav spun around. Samuel stood behind him. The ghost looked weaker than before. Almost transparent. You followed me? Samuel shook his head. No. I've always been here. The city of the forgot. Samuel led Arav through the underground abyss. As they walked, strange shapes appeared in the darkness. Buildings. Roads. Homes. An entire city hidden beneath Kalagar. Except the city was empty. Or so it seemed. As Arav looked closer, he noticed figures standing in the shadows. Hundreds of them. Men. Women. Children. Motionless. Silent. Watching. Who are they? Arav asked. Samuel's expression darkened. The forgotten. A cold chill passed through Arav. The people the eye consumed. As they moved closer, Arav noticed something horrifying. The figures had no faces. Where their features should have been existed only smooth skin. No eyes. No mouth. No nose. Nothing. Just blank emptiness. Why do they look like that? Samuel lowered his head. Because nobody remembers them anymore. The realization struck Arav like a hammer. The seventh eye wasn't killing people. It was erasing them. Removing every memory. Every trace. Every identity. Until nothing remained. The memory river. Hours seemed to pass. Or perhaps minutes. Time felt wrong beneath the eye. Eventually they reached a river of black water. Its surface reflected strange images. Not reflections. Memories. Thousands of memories. A little girl blowing out birthday candles. A father teaching his son to ride a bicycle. A wedding. A first kiss. A goodbye. Entire lives flowed through the river. Samuel looked away sadly. Those memories belonged to the victims. The water suddenly rippled. And Arav saw Nikhil. Alive. Standing within the river. Nikhil. Arav rushed forward. But Samuel grabbed him. Don't. Why? Because that's not really him. The image of Nikhil slowly dissolved. Like smoke. Then another memory appeared. A little boy standing outside an orphanage. Samuel. Young. Scared. Alone. And behind him stood 7 adults wearing black robes. The image changed. The boy was dragged toward house number 7. Toward a stone altar. Toward 7 burning candles. Arav watched in horror. This is what happened to. Samuel led Arav through the underground abyss. As they walked, strange shapes appeared in the darkness. Buildings. Roads. Homes. An entire city hidden beneath Caligar. Except the city was empty. Or so it seemed. As Arav looked closer, he noticed figures standing in the shadows. Hundreds of them. Men. Women. Children. Motionless. Silent. Watching. Who are they? Arav asked. Samuel's expression darkened. The forgotten. A cold chill passed through Arav. The people the eye consumed. As they moved closer, Arav noticed something horrifying. The figures had no faces. Where their features should have been existed only smooth skin. No eyes. No mouth. No nose. Nothing. Just blank emptiness. Why do they look like that? Samuel lowered his head. Because nobody remembers them anymore. The realization struck Arav like a hammer. The 7th eye wasn't killing people. It was erasing them. Removing every memory. Every trace. Every identity. Until nothing remained. The memory river. Hours seemed to pass. Or perhaps minutes. Time felt wrong beneath the eye. Eventually they reached a river of black water. Its surface reflected strange images. Not reflections. Memories. Thousands of memories. A little girl blowing out birthday candles. A father teaching his son to ride a bicycle. A wedding. A first kiss. A goodbye. Entire lives flowed through the river. Samuel looked away sadly. Those memories belonged to the victims. The water suddenly rippled. And Arav saw Nikhil. Alive. Standing within the river. Nikhil. Arav rushed forward. But Samuel grabbed him. Don't. Why? Because that's not really him. The image of Nikhil slowly dissolved. Like smoke. Then another memory appeared. A little boy standing outside an orphanage. Samuel. Young. Scared. Alone. And behind him stood 7 adults wearing black robes. The image changed. The boy was dragged toward house number 7. Toward a stone altar. Toward 7 burning candles. Arav watched in horror. This is what happened to you. Samuel nodded. The villagers believed the eye protected them. They offered children to it. Every 20 years. They called it a blessing. But it was never a blessing. It was hunger. The truth about Arav. The river suddenly glowed brighter. A new memory surfaced. This time Arav himself appeared. As a baby. His parents stood nearby. Smiling. Holding him. Then the memory shifted. The faces of his parents blurred. Their voices distorted. Their features changed. Arav stared in confusion. That's wrong. Samuel looked grim. No. It's the truth. The river showed another image. Samuel. The boy from 1926. Standing beside the same couple. Holding the same baby blanket. Arav's blood ran cold. What am I seeing? Samuel's voice trembled. The eye couldn't completely erase me. When the ritual failed, part of my soul escaped. It was reborn. Arav felt the ground disappear beneath him. No. Samuel nodded. You aren't just similar to me. You are what's left of me. The memories hit Arav all at once. Dreams. Visions. Voices he'd heard since childhood. Feelings he'd never understood. Suddenly they made sense. Samuel hadn't returned. He had become Arav. The heart of the eye. A deafening roar shook the cavern. The river exploded upward. Black water rained from the sky. The forgotten figures turned their blank faces toward the darkness ahead. And then Arav saw it. The seventh eye. Its true form. Far beyond the city stood something larger than a mountain. A colossal eye embedded in living stone. Its pupils stretched endlessly. Like a doorway into another universe. The creature slowly opened. Watching. Studying. Hungry. Thousands of whispers echoed through the cavern. The voices of every victim. Every forgotten soul. The eye focused on Arav. And a voice entered his mind. Ancient. Cold. Infinite. Samuel. Arav felt his knees weaken. You escaped. The cavern trembled. The eye began opening wider. Samuel stepped in front of Arav. You must remember. What? The final memory. What final memory? Samuel's face filled with fear. The reason the ritual failed. Before Arav could answer, the eye's pupil split open. Something started emerging from within. A figure. Tall. Thin. Human-shaped. Its face hidden in shadow. As it stepped forward, Arav felt his heart stop. Because the figure looked exactly like him. And it smiled. The figure stepped out of the eye. Slowly. Deliberately. As though it had been waiting for this moment for 100 years. Arav couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Couldn't even look away. Because the thing standing before him looked exactly like him. Every detail. Every feature. Every scar. The same face. The same eyes. The same voice. Yet there was something horribly wrong. Its smile. Too wide. Too perfect. Too empty. The figure tilted its head. Hello, Arav. The voice echoed through the cavern. Arav felt ice run through his veins. Who are you? The smile widened. I've been waiting for you. The forgotten city fell silent. Even the river of memory stopped flowing. As though the entire world was listening. Samuel stepped forward. Don't listen to it. The figure laughed softly. A century later, and you're still afraid of me. The cavern trembled. Samuel's expression darkened. You are not him. The figure's eyes shifted towards Samuel. For the first time, anger flashed across its face. No. A pause. I'm what remains. The shadow of Samuel. The eye projected memories into the air. Like a giant screen made of darkness. Images appeared. Caligar. The night of the ritual. Young Samuel stood surrounded by hooded villagers. 7 candles burned around a stone altar. The villagers chanted ancient words. Words no human tongue should have spoken. At the center of the ritual stood the 7th eye. Smaller than it was now. But still monstrous. Still alive. Samuel watched the memory in horror. I remember this. The image continued. The villagers prepared to offer him as the seventh soul. But then something unexpected happened. Samuel broke free. He ran. Through the village. Through the forest. Desperate to escape. Yet the eye found him. A beam of darkness shot from its pupil, striking Samuel directly. The boy screamed. And his soul split in two. One half disappeared into the eye. The other escaped. Reborn decades later as Arav. The memory ended. The figure smiled. Now you understand. Arav stared at him. You are the half that remained. The smile widened again. The part the eye kept. The lost half. Samuel lowered his head. For decades he had believed he survived. But the truth was far worse. Part of him had survived. Part of him had become a prisoner. And now that prisoner stood before them. Growing stronger. The eye had fed him for a century. Fed him memories. Fear. Pain. Until he became something else. Something no longer human. The shadow version of Arav slowly walked forward. The forgotten soul stepped aside as it passed. Terrified. Even they feared it. What do you want? Arav asked. The creature stopped. Its expression became strangely sad. I want to be whole. The answer shocked everyone. The shadow pointed toward Arav. You took my life. You took my future. You took everything. Arav shook his head. I didn't even know you existed. Exactly. The cavern darkened. And that is why I hate you. The last memory. Samuel suddenly grabbed Arav's shoulder. You must remember now. The ghost's voice trembled. Before it's too late. The world around them vanished. A blinding light filled the cavern. Arav found himself standing inside a memory. Not watching it. Living it. He was Samuel again. 10 years old. Terrified. The night of the ritual. Rain poured from the sky. Thunder shook the village. The villagers dragged him toward house number 7. Then a woman appeared. A young woman. Crying. Desperate. She pushed through the crowd. Stop. Nobody listened. The villagers continued dragging Samuel toward the altar. The woman screamed. They're lying to you. The crowd froze. An elder stepped forward. What did you say? The woman pointed toward the eye. That thing isn't protecting us. It's feeding on us. Panic spread through the villagers. The elder immediately ordered her seized. But before they could silence her, she shouted one final truth. The eye can only survive if we believe in it. Lightning struck. The memory shattered. The hidden weakness. Arav returned to the cavern. Breathing heavily. Samuel stared at him. Now you know. The eye wasn't invincible. It depended on fear. Belief. Memories. Without them, it would weaken. The shadow's smile vanished. For the first time, genuine fear appeared in its eyes. You shouldn't have remembered that. The eye roared. The cavern cracked. The river surged violently. Thousands of forgotten souls began awakening. Faces started returning. Names returned. Memories returned. The eye's power was breaking. And it knew it. Above the house. Meanwhile, inside house number 7. Rhea and Kabir were still trapped. The house had changed again. Doors appeared where none existed before. Hallways twisted endlessly. The walls whispered. And everywhere they looked, one symbol appeared again and again. 7 eyes. Suddenly Kabir stopped. A new message had appeared on the wall. Written in fresh black letters. The final offering has begun. The floor beneath them shook violently. A massive crack opened through the center of the house. From the darkness below came a roar so powerful that every window shattered. And rising from the abyss came something enormous. A giant hand. Made of darkness, the giant hand burst through the floor of house number 7. Wood shattered. Stone exploded. The entire structure screamed as if it were alive. Ria and Kabir were thrown backward. Dust filled the air. Broken beams crashed around them. For a moment, neither of them could see anything. Only darkness. Only chaos. Then lightning illuminated the room. And they saw it. The hand was enormous. Larger than a truck. Made of shifting black shadows. Its surface constantly changed. Faces appeared within it. Screaming faces. Hundreds of them. Perhaps thousands. Every victim the eye had ever consumed. The hand continued rising. Pulling something massive upward from beneath the earth. Kabir's voice trembled. Oh God. The house began collapsing around them. Walls split apart. Windows shattered. The ceiling cracked. And then the eye itself emerged. Not the entire creature. Only a fraction of it. Yet that fraction alone was unimaginably huge. A colossal eye opened beneath the village. Its pupil stretched wider than a football field. Its iris glowed with unnatural darkness. And it was looking directly at house number 7. The return of memories. Far below, in the forgotten city, Arav felt the cavern shake. The eye was entering the physical world. Samuel looked terrified. It has never done this before. The shadow version of Arav smiled. It knows you're dangerous now. The forgotten souls around them began changing. Faces returned. Names returned. Voices returned. One by one, the victims remembered who they were. And with every memory restored, the eye grew weaker. Its enormous pupil trembled. Cracks spread across its surface. The creature roared in pain. For the first time in a century, it was afraid. The forgotten army. The city beneath memory awakened. Thousands of forgotten souls stood together. Men. Women. Children. People stolen across generations. Now they remembered. And they were angry. The crowd slowly turned. There's something you still don't know. The ghost pointed toward the darkness beyond the eye. There was never a village curse. What do you mean? Samuel's expression darkened. The curse wasn't placed on Caligar. It was placed on the house. Arav stared at him. Samuel nodded. House number 7 wasn't built to contain the eye. A long silence followed. It was built to feed it. The realization struck Arav like lightning. The house itself wasn't a prison. It was part of the creature. A living extension of the eye. Every hallway. Every room. Every hidden passage. They were organs. Pieces of a body. And for 100 years, people had been living inside a monster. The shadow's betrayal. The shadow version of Arav watched everything silently. Then he began laughing. Softly at first. Then louder. Much louder. Samuel stepped backward. You knew. The shadow nodded. Of course I knew. Its body began changing. Stretching. Growing. Twisting. The human shape peeled away like a mask. Beneath it existed something far older. Far darker. A creature made entirely of shadow and eyes. Hundreds of eyes. Thousands. Opening across its body. Watching. Blinking. Smiling. Arav finally understood. The shadow was never Samuel. It had never been part of Samuel. It had been lying. The creature bowed mockingly. I merely borrowed the story. Samuel's face filled with horror. No. The monster smiled. Thank you for helping him remember. Arav suddenly realized the truth. The eye had manipulated everything. The visions. The memories. The clues. It wanted Arav to come here. Wanted him to remember. Wanted him to awaken it. The entire journey had been part of its plan. The final door opens. A deafening crack echoed through reality. The eye's pupil split open completely. Beyond it lay something impossible. A doorway. Not made of stone. Not made of wood. A doorway made of darkness itself. And behind it, something even larger waited. Something older than the eye. Something. The gate is open. The words vibrated inside Arav's bones. Inside his thoughts. Inside his memories. Around him, thousands of forgotten souls collapsed to their knees. Covering their ears. Screaming. Yet the voice continued. Calm. Ancient. Unimaginably powerful. And behind the doorway of darkness, something was coming. The master of the eye. The seventh eye bowed lower. Like a servant before a king. The sight was terrifying. For the first time since discovering the truth beneath house number 7, Arav saw fear inside the eye itself. Whatever waited beyond that gate. Even the eye feared it. The darkness inside the doorway shifted. Twisted. Expanded. Then a shape emerged. Not a body. Not entirely. More like an absence. A hole where reality should have existed. It had no clear form. Every time Arav looked directly at it, his mind struggled to understand what he was seeing. Sometimes it resembled a giant figure. Sometimes a storm. Sometimes a face. And always, one enormous eye remained visible at its center. Watching everything. Remembering everything. And forgetting nothing. The first name. The creature's gaze settled upon Arav. Immediately, memories exploded inside his head. Childhood birthdays. School days. Friends. Family. Dreams. Fears. Thousands of moments flashed before him. Then they began disappearing. One by one. A memory vanished. Then another. Then another. Arav staggered. No. He couldn't remember the name of his first teacher. Then his first school. Then the face of a childhood friend. The creature wasn't attacking his body. It was consuming his past. Samuel grabbed him. Don't let it take your memories. How? Samuel looked toward the forgotten souls. Remember who you are. The city fights back. Across the cavern, something extraordinary happened. The forgotten souls stood. Not as victims. As people. Each person began speaking their name aloud. My name is Asha. My name is Vikram. My name is Ravi. My name is Mira. Thousands of voices echoed together. The sound became a wave. A storm of identity. A refusal to be erased. The giant darkness recoiled. For the first time, it stepped backward. The forgotten souls had discovered its weakness. Names. Memory. Identity. The things it could steal. But never truly create. Above the village. Meanwhile, the surface world was collapsing. House number 7 had almost completely transformed. The walls pulsed like living flesh. Windows blinked like giant eyes. The entire structure looked less like a building and more like a creature awakening from a long sleep. Ria and Kabir ran through collapsing hallways. The giant eye beneath the village continued opening wider. The ground cracked. Trees fell. Ancient ruins crumbled into dust. Then Ria noticed something strange. The symbol of the 7 eyes was glowing. Not on the walls. On her hand. A black mark had appeared on her skin. Kabir looked at his own palm. The same symbol. The final chosen souls. The ritual was still active. The last secret. Back beneath reality, Samuel finally revealed the truth he had hidden. Arav. His voice shook. There is one thing I never told you. The cavern trembled. The darkness beyond the gate continued emerging. Time was running out. What is it? Samuel lowered his head. The ritual never failed. Arav froze. What? The villagers thought I escaped. I thought part of me escaped. But neither was true. Samuel's eyes filled with sadness. I completed the ritual. Silence. The words hit harder than any monster. You chose it? Samuel nodded. I was afraid. I thought sacrificing myself would save everyone. And for a while, it did. The forgotten city became silent. Arav stared at him. Everything he believed shattered. The hero. The victim. The lost child. Samuel had willingly become the 7th soul. And that choice had fed the eye for a century. The final candle. Suddenly a distant bell rang. Once. Twice. 7 times. The sound echoed across both worlds. Then Arav. Arav understood. The cycle could continue. Or it could end forever. But ending it would require a sacrifice. A real one. Not fear. Not memory. A soul. The darkness smiled. The eye opened wider. And somewhere above, house number 7 began collapsing into the earth. As reality itself started breaking apart. Then a new voice echoed through the cavern. A voice no one expected. A familiar voice. Nice try. Everyone turned. From the river of memories stepped a figure. Alive. Smiling. Impossible. Nikhil. And he was carrying something in his hands. Something that made both the eye and the darkness scream in terror. Nikhil stepped out of the river of memories. Alive. Unbroken. Impossible. For several seconds, nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Arav stared at him. Nikhil. The researcher smiled weakly. Miss me? A laugh escaped Arav despite everything. The sound felt strange in a place filled with horror. But then he noticed what Nikhil was carrying. An old wooden box. The moment the 7th eye saw it, the monster recoiled. The darkness beyond the gate recoiled as well. For the first time, both creatures looked terrified. The first memory. Samuel's eyes widened. No. He recognized the box. The same box hidden beneath the orphanage a century ago. The box nobody was supposed to find. The box containing something the eye could never consume. Arav looked at Nikhil. What is it? Nikhil carefully opened the lid. Inside was a single photograph. Nothing more. Just a photograph. Yet the entire cavern shook. The giant darkness screamed. The 7th eye trembled violently. Because the photograph showed something impossible. It showed every victim. Every forgotten soul. Every child. Every family. Every person erased across 100 years. Together. Remembered. Named. Real. The power of being remembered. Samuel slowly fell to his knees. Tears streamed down his face. My mother. For the first time in a century, he remembered her face. The forgotten souls began remembering too. Names. Returned. Faces returned. Lives returned. The city beneath memory filled with light. Every recovered memory weakened the monsters. The eye began cracking. Deep fractures spread across its enormous surface. The darkness beyond the gate screamed in fury. Forget them. But nobody did. The forgotten souls shouted their names. Thousands of voices. Millions of memories. An entire century of stolen lives returning at once. The monsters could not stop it. The truth about house number 7. The photograph revealed one final secret. A hidden memory. The very first memory. Before the village. Before the eye. Before the ritual. Arav watched as the truth unfolded. Long ago, house number 7 had belonged to a man named Elias Ward. A scholar. A historian. A collector of forgotten stories. He believed every memory mattered. Every life mattered. When he discovered the eye beneath the earth, he understood its hunger. So he built the house above it. Not to feed it. To imprison it. The rituals. The symbols. The warnings. They had all been protections. But over generations, the villagers forgot the truth. Fear turned protection into worship. And worship turned the prison into a feeding ground. The eye never escaped because it was powerful. It escaped because people stopped remembering why the prison existed. Arav's choice. The gate behind the eye continued opening. The greater darkness still pushed forward. The danger wasn't over. Samuel looked toward Arav. The gate still needs to be closed. Arav already knew. How? Samuel smiled sadly. The way it was sealed the first time. Silence followed. Nickel understood immediately. So that's it. Samuel nodded. A soul must willingly remain behind. Ria and Kabir appeared at the edge of the forgotten city. The collapsing house had finally brought them there. Ria shook her head. No. We'll find another way. But deep down, everyone knew the truth. There wasn't another way. The 7th soul. The giant darkness pushed through the gate. Reality began tearing apart around it. The forgotten city collapsed. The river overflowed. The eye screamed. Everything was ending. Arav stepped forward. No. Samuel grabbed his arm. You've already suffered enough. Arav looked at him. Then smiled. Not me. Everyone froze. Samuel's eyes widened. No. Arav nodded. You were the 7th soul. You always were. The ghost understood instantly. The ritual had never truly ended. Because Samuel never accepted what happened. For a century he had remained trapped between memory and oblivion. Neither alive nor gone. The unfinished sacrifice. The unfinished story. Samuel remembers. Samuel looked around. At the forgotten souls. At the children. At the families. At the people he had spent 100 years trying to save. Then he remembered everything. His mother. His father. The orphanage. The fear. The courage. The choice. And finally. Peace. A smile appeared on his face. For the first time since 1926. I remember. The city filled with light. The final candle ignited. Its flame burned brighter than the sun. Samuel walked toward the gate. The darkness screamed. The eye screamed. But neither could stop him. Because they fed on forgotten things. And Samuel was no longer forgotten. The end of the eye. Samuel entered the gate. Light exploded across reality. The forgotten souls joined him. Thousands. Then millions. A wave of memory surged forward. The eye cracked completely. Its enormous pupil shattered. The darkness beyond the gate disintegrated. The cavern collapsed. The river vanished. The city faded. And for a brief moment, everyone heard Samuel's voice. Soft. Peaceful. Remember us. Then the gate closed. Forever. 1 year later. Caligar no longer existed. Where house number 7 once stood, there was now only an empty field. No ruins. No village. No symbols. Nothing. Most people never learned what happened there. But Arav, Ria, Kabir, and Nico remembered. And they made sure others would too. A documentary was released. Not about ghosts. Not about monsters. About memory. About forgotten people. About names that deserved to survive. The final scene showed an old photograph. The same photograph from the wooden box. Every victim smiling together. No missing faces. No erased names. Only people. Remembered. Epilogue. Years later, Arv received a letter with no return address. Inside was a single photograph. A black and white image taken in 1926. It showed young Samuel standing outside the orphanage. Smiling. On the back was a handwritten note. Just 3 words. "Thank you, brother." Arv smiled. Then looked out the window. For a brief moment, he thought he saw a young boy standing beneath a tree. Watching. Smiling. At peace. Then the figure disappeared into the sunlight. And house number 7 became nothing more than a story. Or perhaps a memory.